France has called for a quick implementation of the post-Brexit trade agreement regarding mutual access to fishing waters following protests by French fishermen. French fishermen blocked trucks trying to bring in catches from Britain at Boulogne-sur-Mer, France's busiest fishing hub, on Thursday. They argue the Brexit deal is a sham on access in place since Britain left the European Union on January 1. France claims the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs (DEFRA) granted licenses to only 22 of the 120 French boats seeking permission to fish between 6 and 12 nautical miles from the British coast. In a joint statement, Europe Minister Clement Beaune and Maritime Minister Annick Girardin said, "We're acting within the spirit of European solidarity and cooperation with the UK, but the urgency demands an acceleration of our collective efforts." A full granting of access licenses for British waters, and a quick resolution of crucial questions including the use of forward bases, must be resolved as soon as possible. Along with access to UK waters, the ministers also call for French boats to be able to unload their catches at British ports so they can then be brought quickly to France by truck. Olivier Lepretre, head of the Boulogne Regional Fishing Committee, said in response to the French minister's statement, "It's not enough to have a nice letter, we need action. For now it's impossible to unload fish at English ports." DEFRA disputed the French claims and a spokesman said, "The UK maintains a consistent, evidence-based approach to licensing EU vessels using information supplied by the European Commission. We do not recognize the figures that have been shared by the French fishing industry and consider this reaction to be unjustified. Our concerns regarding the protest action have been raised directly with the French authorities." In response to the protests, Brussels last night said it had approved an £87 million deal in French aid for the country's fisheries sector hit by Britain's withdrawal from the bloc. European Competition Commissioner Margrethe Vestager said, "The fisheries sector is one of the most affected by Brexit, requiring fishermen and downstream market operators in affected member states to reorganize and adapt to the new situation." 3:48 p.m. Update. Grieve brands Boris a vacuum of integrity. Brexit rebel Dominic Grieve branded Boris Johnson a vacuum of integrity as he launched a blistering attack on the Prime Minister. Mr. Grieve, who fell out with Mr. Johnson over his Brexit policies, said Prime Minister must now come clean and reveals who footed the bill for Downing Street revamp. Mr. Grieve, who was stripped of the party whip by Mr. Johnson in September 2019 in the wake of backbench Brexit rebellion and unsuccessfully stood as an independent at the 2019 general election, said, "It is all smoke and mirrors." He hasn't said when he decided to repay it or whether he has now repaid it. The fact is that he did get, I think it has become quite clear, a significant gift towards the refurbishment of the flat. If a minister goes abroad and gets given a gold watch by a foreign official, he has to hand it back to the government or he has to buy it back. He doesn't end up with £58,000 if that's figure, for refurbishing your private flat in Downing Street. My impression is there has been constant wriggling about the source of the money for this refurbishment. 2:45 p.m. Update. Brexiteer says Boris must tear up deal before it's too late. Boris Johnson has been urged to tear up the trade deal with the EU by Brexiteer Jane Adey, who warned the Prime Minister, Brussels has no respect for the UK. Mrs. Adai, director of the Get Britain Out campaign group, made her remarks at the end of a week which has seen further wrangling between London and Brussels in a number of key issues. Specifically, she highlighted the ongoing delay in ratification of the UK-EU Trade and Cooperation Agreement, member states failing to uphold the rights of UK expats in the EU, and what she characterized as the continued attempts by the European Commission, led by President Ursula von der Leyen, to exercise control over Northern Ireland via the controversial protocol arrangements. And Ms. Adai suggested the multiple problems only served to reinforce the rationale for quitting the bloc in the first place. 2 p.m. Update. Post-Brexit Commonwealth trade bloc led by Queen will dwarf EU, Australia and the UK are on the verge of signing a major trade deal, following talks in London. A joint statement after the talks said both countries are confident that the remaining issues will be resolved, and will now enter a sprint to agree the outstanding details with the aim of reaching agreement in principle by June. claiming a consensus has been reached on the vast majority of elements of a comprehensive free trade agreement. International Trade Secretary Liz Truss said, "We have made major breakthroughs over the past few days and an agreement is now in sight." Calling the deal a win-win, Ms. Truss described it a fundamentally liberalizing agreement that will support jobs across the country and help us emerge stronger from the pandemic, strengthening ties between two democracies who share a fierce belief in freedom, enterprise and fair play. 1:15 p.m. Update. Economist says EU's vaccine blunder vindicates Brexit. The EU blundered horribly with its vaccine rollout, hampered by layers of red tape which have left the EU lagging far behind the UK, a Brexiteer economist and former government advisor has said. And Timothy Congdon also said it was rubbish to suggest the UK in any way depended on Europe, suggesting the nation was perfectly able to make its way in the wide world in the wake of Brexit. Mr. Congdon, who was a member of the Treasury panel that advised the Conservative government on economic policy between 1993 and 1997, was speaking at a time when the UK has administered 69 COVID-19 jabs per 100 people, well over double the EU-wide average of 27.23, he told Express. Co.uk, in this case, Merkel, and probably Macron, but the Franco-German dynamo, may have been one-sided in this case, who knows, decided that the vaccine program should be centralized in Brussels, with the European Commission. 12:30 p.m. Update. EU nightmare, give free trade deal to nations who want to leave bloc. A strong majority of people in Britain say the UK should offer a free trade partnership to other countries that want to leave the European Union. With the fifth anniversary of the historic Brexit vote approaching, nearly 6 out of 10 people 57% would support the UK offering such a partnership to states that want to break free from Brussels. A mere 6% of those polled by Redfield and Wilton Strategies opposed the offer of a free trade partnership. The findings were welcomed by the Poland-born Conservative MP for Shrewsbury and Atcham, Daniel Kaczynski. 11:45 a.m. Update. Brexit, French fishermen warn of never-ending war in Jersey Row. Brexit fishing tensions could yet still erupt post-Brexit as one Frenchman warned of a never-ending war over access to waters. French fishermen were accused of decimating the Jersey coastline earlier this month as uncertainty looms over access to the Channel Islands waters. The Brexit trade deal gives Jersey the sole power over licenses for all boats, but French vessels with historical fishing activity in Jersey waters will continue to have access and could still outnumber Jersey boats. This arrangement replaced the Bay of Granville Treaty, an accord that was not popular with some in Jersey as it allowed French authorities to license their own boats to fish in the island's waters. 11 a.m. Update. UK's vaccination rollout to boost Liz Truss trade master plan. Brexit. Britain's successful vaccination rollout will help Liz Truss boost her trade master plan, a trade expert has told Express. Co.uk. International Trade Secretary Liz Truss has hailed a major breakthrough in trade talks with Australia, with a deal set to be finalised by June. Ms. Truss has held talks with her Australian counterpart in London to get a deal over the line after months of talks. The UK had been eager to strike an agreement by Easter but talks faltered in recent weeks with disagreements on a few key areas. 10:15 a.m. Update. Brexit can use free ports to make UK a superpower, industry chief. Rishi Sunak's Freeports plan can create more than 150,000 jobs, transforming the UK into a green maritime superpower, as well as giving the nation's long-suffering fishing industry a long-overdue shot in the arm, an industry leader has said. Ben Murray, chief executive of Maritime UK, was speaking at the end of a week in which his organisation has unveiled plans for a major recruitment drive which he predicts will create 170,000 jobs over the course of the next 5 to 10 years across 7 coastal regions. The strategy has been drawn up in response to Chancellor Mr. Sunak's announcement in his spring budget, which will see the creation of an additional 8 freeports around the UK. Freeports are an important aspect of Prime Minister Boris Johnson's post-Brexit global vision, because they enable goods to be sent overseas without being liable for tariffs. 9:30 a.m. update, EU accused of breaching fishing rules with French boats in Jersey. The EU has been accused of allowing French boats to break international fishing regulations in Jersey while the bloc continues to punish other countries for violating the same regulations. Under post-Brexit fishing arrangements, any French vessel which previously held a Bay of Granville Treaty (GBT) permit is free to fish off the coast of Jersey while authorities process applications for new licenses. Don Thompson, president of the Jersey Fishermen's Association, said the amnesty period, in place until the end of April, has led to a five-fold increase in French boats around the island. He said since the end of the Brexit transition period the number of French trawlers fishing in the waters has increased from around 70 to more than 300. 8:45 a.m. update, Brussels humiliated as German businesses ditch EU for Britain. The European Union's hopes of wiping out Britain as an economic competitor have failed, with a top German business lobbyist revealing that firms across the EU are lining up to invest in Britain. Brussels has been humiliated after European Union businesses look to invest in Britain instead of the continent, according to one top German business lobbyist. Ulrich Hopp, Director General of the German-British Chamber of Industry and Commerce, told The Telegraph that many firms in Germany are turning their focus from the EU to Britain. Julian Jessup, an economist at the Institute of Economic Affairs (IEA), told Talk Radio that the outlook for the UK is looking pretty good, particularly when compared to the EU. 8 a.m. update, ponies detained over Brexit form errors. 4 ponies detained at Belfast port for almost 5 weeks due to issues with Northern Ireland Protocol paperwork have been released to their new owners. Their arrival at the family farm near Ballygowan, Co Down, came after a judge ordered their release on Thursday. The animals, which had been bought from a seller in Wales, had been detained as a result of errors in new veterinary forms required to ship them from Great Britain to Northern Ireland under the terms of post-Brexit Irish Sea trading arrangements.